wings, fiber, and made into ears, paper mache. There's ways to make very delicate wings. Let's talk about construction and doing it.
Hi everyone. So today I thought I'd do some direct teaching of wings. Now, in the world of art, wings can be made of clay, they could be made of wood, they can be made of all kinds of things. But I'm going to talk about maybe the lighter type of wing, something a little more fairy-like, or bats, or anything like that that you want to make. Just a basic structure. Once you see it, you can adapt it any way you want. But I thought, well, I've been researching it, practicing it, and then I thought, well, I'll just share it with you. And I've really, I've kind of, you can see this one is a paper mache. Now it's not a wing, it's an ear, but that's still a wing. And then these are fiber, done with fiber. So I've discovered really the two best ways would be paper mache or fiber or wool. Felting, wet felting. And I'm going to go over both of those techniques because you can buy this online. Even if you've never been a felter, you can do it. Just a little bit more technique involved, where paper mache is something more people are used to and they can probably do, okay? So I've been making dragons, and so we have to have wings for them. But fairies, all kinds of reasons that you might want to have a wing, right? Okay, so that's what I'm going to go over, and I'm going to start with paper mache, and then I will do a fiber wing. Okay, what are the materials that you need? We're starting with the paper mache wings. Well, of course, wire. And I'm going to suggest when you're doing paper mache, you can use 24 gauge wire. If you're going to want to have a heavier wing, bigger than what I'm doing. Now there's something that's going to have some structure where it's going to have to be angled upward. You want to use a heavier duty wire. So look at a 14 gauge or a little heavy if you want, so that you can have it stay up. If it's too weak, it'll fall down. You can't manipulate that wing. Today I'm going to do just little light wings that don't need to have all that structure, but if you need it, just the main one, in other words, just the first one you cut, that I'm going to ask you to cut, just that one needs to be heavier, because that's going to be your main vein. But today I'll just do the lighter ones because I'm just doing a little tiny feathery kind of a little wing. But just remember, the main one of these of the three needs to be, let's say, 14, and the rest can be 24. And then you have to measure your piece. I don't know what size. I'm just starting with, I keep a tape here and I measure against it. And this one I did was 6. So I did 2 6s and an 8. And the reason I did the 8 is because it's going to shorten when you wind one around, it shortens it. You're going to see in a minute. So you need a wire cutter. You need, we talked about the wire. You're going to need some sort of water receptacle. Remember, we're doing tiny stuff, so it doesn't have to be, it could be a bowl. I'm just using a little paper cup because I'm doing micro here, but you could use a plastic cup for the paper mache water. You need glue. You can use Elmer's glue, anything. I just happen to have Julep. I'm grabbing it because it dries clear, but you can just use Elmer's glue. And you need some water. You need some water. And you're going to need some sort of application, brushes, to put it on with. And I'm going to suggest that we're going to use toilet paper, just 2-ply. Cheap, cheap, cheap. Don't use paper toweling, it's a little thick. And you're going to shred it. I pre-shredded mine. And a heat gun. Not a hair dryer, a heat gun. So that's kind of important. You could just let it dry, but you're going to see why you need that. So that's just your basic materials. Nothing is really super, super expensive. So let's talk about how to set up the frame. So you're going to cut, arbitrarily, you're going to cut whatever's going to fit your piece that you're going to make. But I'm arbitrarily going to do 2 6s and an 8 because I want to have my wing have 3 segments. And remember, again, I reminded you, if you're going to need a stronger wing, you need to have this piece be stronger.
And I'm going to make a double wing. I'm going to make one long piece with a wing at each end. You can do one side and one side, but I'm going to do it this way. So what you do is you take your pieces and you line them up like this. So you've got one side lined up, and obviously one side is going to be longer. So see, you've got this lined up, and then one side's longer, right? So that's going to be your wrapping piece. And you're just going to wrap it maybe 3 times. And there you got it. You've got your frame. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cut it. You're going to cut this piece. Like I like to make these all match. You're going to cut them to match. And then you're going to kind of shape it before you do the paper mache. And then kind of give them whatever shape you think you want. How do you think this wing to look? Do you want it to come down? Do you want it more butterfly-like? Do you want it like a bat? How do you want this to look? And shape it. Put it in that whatever shape you want that to be. There you go. And now you've got your basic shape. You've cut it. It doesn't matter. You decide. None of this is going to show. Now you want to have your paper mache solution. So 50-50 is good. I just pour. And you don't need very much. Don't make too much. I have a big tub of Elmer's glue that I've 50-50 watered it down, and I just use it constantly. But this is time I'm going to use this. I don't want to use all of mine up. I have an older one here. I think I'm going to use that one. And mix it. 50-50, just as long as it's got, it's got to be, that's all your paper mache is going to be. It's just sticky. That's really even too much liquid. We're not even going to need anywhere near that amount. I think I want it a little stickier. If you want a measurement, 50-50 is a good measurement. There we go. I got a good hunk of it in there. Like I said, Elmer's glue, cheap glue, paper, school glue. This is jewelry glue. It dries clear. That's going to be good enough for me. So now we take, you don't need big brushes for this, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to start, and the first thing you want to do is you want to lay across, because you've got to cover these wires, right? So I'm going to take maybe a brush about this size. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get your glue in there. And you're going to lay this across. Just lay it across. And it doesn't have to be neat. No neatness. You're just going to lay it across the wire, get it wet, and then I fold it over. See how you fold it over? Just on that edge, just so you start to give it a framework. Lay it across. So you're just starting with across. And you're laying it across. One layer of the toilet paper, not the two. Take it apart. And then just wet it. You don't want to lay it down here because it's going to stick. And I keep this tight. I don't, if you're doing butterfly, you want this to go beyond it and you just flare it out. If you want to keep one edge, then you can keep it one edge. I'm going to leave one edge tight and one edge flared, but you can flare them all. You're deciding on what you want this particular wing to look like. And the reason you do two of them at the same time, now remember, wings are not going to be identical. They're not going to be identical. But you want to just sort of give them in the same general layering. But they're not going to have the same number of layers on them or anything like that. They'll be different. But don't worry about that. They'll just be generally. Fold it over. You just want to get that first little thing on this edge folded over, because that's how you can get it to stick. And if it's got more layers on one area than the other, that doesn't even matter, because it's organic, so it can be, you know. And I'm folding it over that in that beginning. I want to make this first. And this is, take it easy, enjoy it. See how I'm getting it to form that? I don't recommend that you use full strength glue. A couple of people that, oh, I just don't want that water. You're going to have such a hard time with it. You really have to water it down. If you don't want to do 50-50, you could have it be a little thicker with the glue, but this will really work. Believe me, it'll dry. Now, I'm going to tighten this one here. See, I'm going to tighten this one, but I'm going to loosen this one. You're going to see in a minute what I mean by that. So in other words, I want this tight, but I want this one to have fragments. Oops, I folded over. I'll get it to not fold over. What you do is you just kind of pull it and let it hang over. Don't always have to say. Now, one thing I have done in the past, which I can mention, you can go through with heavy, straight glue and put a layer of that onto your wire and let it dry. If you want to do that, you can do that. You can put like a layer of glue here. That'll be sort of sticky. I have done it. I don't necessarily know that it does that much. Sometimes I think it does. It just, everybody gets to be a paper macher their own way. That's really, really developing. And all the wrinkles, that's all that, you want that to be there. You're not trying to make This side needs, I can see the wire sticking through. I don't want that. Now you can see the wire, you just don't want the bare wire. You're going to see the wire, of course, but you can see I've got a wire showing right there. I'm going to have to cover that. So I'll just cover it like that. You're going to see the shadow of the wire, but you shouldn't see bare wire. You can see the real bare, if the bare wire shows, cover it. Good. Checking my back. I think I could do a couple more. I don't even know if it's the back. I mean, I just got to look at both sides. Got to just make sure you've covered that wire. And I think I have. I don't see anything really bright showing. Keep that. I just don't want to see any bright wire shining at me. It does have to all be wet though. You can't really have dry edges. What do you think? Is that gonna do it for you? You know, and there's no money in this, so if you really want to redo it again, just do it. This is just... Now, what you're going to do, the next thing is we're going to heat gun. Now, sometimes I will get something to hold this with because I don't want to burn my hands. And remember, even after you've dried this, you can go back and you can add more. This is not a one-shot deal. Now, you have to be careful because you can set this on fire. You've got a heat gun here. So you're gonna, but you do want to burn it a little bit. You'll see. By the way, this is, paper mache can go on any surfaces. You can do the same thing with Elmer's glue and paper and toilet paper onto any kind of a surface, and you can heat gun it till it bubbles and wrinkles, and you can make beautiful texture with paper mache on it. This is just the idea on a wing. Hold it back in the beginning. You might even see the paper bubble up. Don't worry about it. You're gonna see it. The edges can even burn. They can even get brown. I don't know if I think that's too much bare wire right there. It's covered pretty good. It's got a couple of layers on it. I'm feeling like maybe by the wire here there should be stronger adhesion. Like I told you, I'm not stopped from just adding and adding. I did not cover the wire part. You could, if you wanted to, cover that if you think, but I'm going to make sure it doesn't show. But if you thought it would, you can certainly cover it. Okay, let me see if that's better. Always remember, the end of your heat gun is very, very hot. Don't touch it. First of all, it ages it. But just be careful. You can catch it. You can catch it on fire. This is only toilet paper. There we go. It's done. I think it's dry. Maybe a little bit, maybe damp in a few little spots, but basically it's dry. Now, the coloration, I really don't feel like I'm doing a video on painting. I'm just trying to show you how to make it. Once I start painting it, it's getting into an art field, right? But if you just want to see, like you can use alcohol dyes. And you can also do watercolor. Watercolor can look, because this would look just beautiful on this. It's done. I haven't colored it. I decided not to color it because you can do that. Play with whatever things you want. You're going to get the colorations that you want. I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. Probably put it on another dragon. But again, you can shape this bat-like. You can trim it, make it tighter, feather it up on top, make it more like a butterfly. Tons of things. And also you can put it onto hard surfaces and use that heat gun if you want to do texturizing. I think I have a video. If you look in my YouTube channel, you're going to find I have a video on texturizing, which has been well received. Why don't you look at that, and that'll give you an idea what to do with paper mache. But this is wings, and now you could cut this here if you wanted to separate it. I just did it together, so it kept it easier. But I did, and it's not, they're not exact on both sides. You can see, and you can see the burn areas. Now, the other thing I want to show is how to do it with fiber. I'm going to do a separate video so those who want to do fiber can look at it individually for that. But this is doing it with paper mache. Can I also remind you right here, just because it really helps the algorithm. Remember, this is not a monetized YouTube channel, but just the algorithm for it to move forward. Can you please hit the thumbs up button? Just hit thumbs up. Doesn't cost anybody anything. And if you want to make a comment, that helps the algorithm also. But mostly the thumbs up. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And again, I'm going to make another video about making the wings using wool fiber.